but they'll send you bankrupt. So you need to be aware of that. All right, so today we will talk about the exciting PAC and LTV. I know they ran this into you at +8, I'm sure. ARPU and GPM. And if you don't know what those are, you certainly will in the next hour or so. And you can amaze your friends at cocktail parties showing off your ARPU or your GPM, right? So I asked the venture up people this question. It's a paradox. Startups are easy and startups are hard. What do I mean by that? This is now interactive. Get to talk.
Easy to start, but hard to get better.
It's definitely easy to start. Anyone can start a startup, right? It takes you probably now set up a company. You've got a startup. You might even have your own money, and any fool can spend their own money. It's just buying things. It's easy to buy things. Anyone can go and buy things. So you can buy MVP. You and a co-founder can, if you want, office rent some space at Space Cubed, and you're doing a startup. And if you've got tight jeans and a beard and a lack of frappuccino, you can walk through a co-working space and go, "Hey, I'm in a startup in this cool startup space." And of course, that's not a startup anymore. Startups are hard. Why? Or beyond why? Why are startups hard? Specifically, they're like a subset of small business, which I find fascinating. That's why I love spending time with startups. Why are startups particularly a hard business to succeed as a business? There's something definitional about startups that makes them hard. Well, I don't want to put you off, but you're already here. You're not going to be put. You haven't been put off. You've already experienced a lot of the hardships.
Yeah. It's like
it's different from opening a restaurant, right?
Yeah, exactly. The learning curve is huge because it would be like there is a lot of aspects that are critical that you're not familiar with when you're an average Joe. And I think that learning curve is pretty hard in fact. And then like for me the easy hard was like, oh yeah, I can buy and can do something with a little bit of cash and blah blah blah. But then when you come at the end of the financial year, all of a sudden, and still have to take care of, like there is lawyers, there's legal things to. So it's all that aspect that all of a sudden you get hammered with, and like whoa. And then
certainly, what makes a startup? Not just a small business.
No.
What's unique to a startup? What are the unique factors or features of
high variability?
What does that mean?
Like there are too many variable factors that are constantly changing. That does not happen in normal businesses like restaurant.
Whereas if you open a restaurant, a lot of the similar restaurants would have been opened already. There's probably a formula.
I was going to say you start from scratch. Like you have to build, like I guess you believe in it, but you need to make people believe in it as well. So you don't have any background.
It's hard to open a restaurant. 80% of them go bankrupt in 18 months. It's not easy to open a restaurant. But what makes a startup? What are the features? We haven't quite got there yet. And I think you need to know what you're up for if you don't, because you're in it. What makes it specifically different? There are a few factors that makes a startup, and why I love startups and why I like working with them and why I admire startup founders. And maybe looking back is easier. So I did a startup for 10 years and looking back, I go, wow, would I have done that if I'd known how hard it was going to be? Maybe not. Which you sort of start with, stars in your eyes. And you just meet obstacle after obstacle and you just get through it, or you don't. And that makes you better. I don't want to give you the answer, so keep going.
Innovation?
Certainly you're innovative. You've got a high level of innovation, and that's uncertain. So you're doing something that's uncertain, and you're probably doing something that's new, and you're perhaps doing something that's disruptive. Now that's giving you a clue. I wouldn't say a new restaurant is disruptive, and it's not. It may be uncertainty, but it's not really innovative.
Yeah, it doesn't fit into the system.
Correct. You're disrupting something. Yeah. You're disrupting an incumbent, and by definition, you're trying to change consumer behavior. And that's hard. Changing consumer behavior is hard been well documented. The consumers will carry on buying a shitty product. They know it's a shitty product, but they're used to it. Better the devil they know than the devil they don't. Changing a product to another product is hard. Going to explain to ports to do what you're doing is hard, right? Getting accountants to change what they're doing is hard. And what you're doing in viticulture, right? I know they've got a shitty existing product, but you're going to have to go one by one to vineyards and get them to use Cranium, right? That's hard. At the same time, you're balancing cash, right? So you're doing something disruptive, innovative and new, and you're trying to change consumer behavior. That is damn hard. And at the same time, you've got people that are screaming at you to do this, that, and the other, you're trying to scale it. And that's hard. But that's the bit that makes startups exciting. They're scalable. It's the scalability of startups that's exciting, right? So give you another concept. When I was an economics teacher, the economics textbook will tell you that profit is maximized when marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So we're getting onto unit economics now. Unit economics, which is what this is about. Actually rubbish, but that's what the textbooks will tell you. It's certainly rubbish for a startup. So marginal revenue is what you get from your additional customer, your marginal revenue, right? So your next customer that comes on, what do you charge them? That's your marginal revenue. Right? As long as your marginal revenue is greater than your marginal cost, that's the extra cost of servicing that customer, your profits go up, right? Because you're bringing in more money than it's costing you to service that customer. So you're adding to your profit. As long as marginal revenue is greater than marginal cost, your profits go up. So if you want to profit maximize, economic theory will say, keep increasing output until marginal revenue equals marginal cost. Because when marginal revenue equals marginal cost, you have squeezed as much profit out of those customers as you're ever going to do, and your profit is maximized. Now, that's not to say that you should be profit maximizing. Most companies don't get there. But below it is actually an assumption that is wrong. And the assumption that is wrong is, as you increase output, average costs go up. Because if you've got a restaurant that is full to the gunnels of people, and then you maybe have 2 or 3 dinner serves in the evening, you're going to have to put a lot of extra staff on, more chefs, more concierges. You might need to expand your actual space. You might even need to buy another restaurant. So eventually, as you keep increasing output, your costs go up and your average costs go up to serve those customers, and eventually your profit will be maximized. And if you keep going beyond that, profits go down. But that's not the case for startups, is it? Not scalable. Scalable startups, and that's the exciting bit. If you can climb the SaaS mountain and get to the top, the view's pretty good, because once you cover costs, marginal revenue will still be above your marginal cost. The additional customer cost is minimal and will continue to be minimal. So if you're a B2B SaaS, it might be different for Ocean Hex, but if you're a B2B SaaS like you guys are, like SavvyWise, right? And certainly a bit like Cranio, your 100th customer will hardly cost you anything additional to service. When you've got 99 customers, adding 100th won't cost you much. Give them a username, password, and they pay you. And your 1000th customer won't cost you much compared to your 999th. Maybe even your 1,000,000th customer. In other words, your marginal revenue keep going up, your marginal cost is minimal. So your profits just keep expanding, according to economic theory, which is great. If you're a scalable startup, that's what I like. It blows economic theory out of the water. Everything I learned in university and everything I taught at school, it blows it apart. Startups blow it apart. Got it? Okay. So here is Melanie Perkins. That's actually a photo I took when I had a coffee with her in San Francisco in July 2011. Now, this is before Canva. At the time, Melanie was with Cliff, we're doing something called Fusion Books. And I'd been introduced to them 2008, 2009, because I was a former teacher. I was doing AussieHome.com. I'd been doing the school yearbook in Singapore, and they were doing online school yearbooks. You could design the school yearbook, right? Her mum was a primary school teacher, had to do the bloody school yearbook. So she developed Fusion Books in Flash. Remember Flash? Oh my God, this is way back. This is 2000s. So it was all designed in Flash. It was a crap business model, really, because they only got paid their revenue at the end of the year. So during the year, the school could use Fusion Books to lay out and design the school yearbook. So kids could lay it out at primary school, the parents could get involved, the teachers could get involved, but they had to use the Fusion Books software platform, Flash, to lay it all out. And at the end of the year, Fusion Books printed the books. And that's when they got paid. So it's a crap business model because although they got stuck in, and I suppose you could say their customers couldn't escape because they were laying out the school yearbook, they only got paid at the end of the year to print the bloody book. And then you got to deliver the book, and books are expensive to print. So, but you can see the germination of what became Canva. I remember somebody she said to me here. So I was over for a tech conference. I'd sold my company the year before, and I was over there, and I knew she was over there. She was sort of couch surfing with her brother was there for 6 weeks. So she just went there for 6 weeks, and she went there to try and raise money for a future idea, which would become Canva, but she didn't even have the name Canva in her head. She said to me, some people think we've got this big publishing idea within Fusion Books, and it's a separate business, something like that, she said. So I'm over here to try and raise money because I need to get really good. Cliff and I are technical, and our disadvantage is we need a tech co-founder. So I need a top engineer, San Francisco engineer, but I can't get one without money. But I can't get money without one. Which is like a catch-22. No one's going to raise money unless we've got a tech co-founder, but I can't get a tech co-founder without money. So she was there for 6 weeks. She was getting free Wi-Fi at public libraries, free Wi-Fi at co-working spaces, and couch, and basically sleeping on her brother's couch, who was there for 6 weeks for a course. Came back empty-handed. A year later, saw Bill tie, the whole thing, no money. Bill wasn't interested. Came back, talk about amazing degree of ruthlessness. She came back about 9 months later, and then did get them to invest. Then was introduced to, or Bill said you need a tech co-founder. Okay, I'm interested. I'll introduce you to Lars Rasmussen. Lars Rasmussen, friend of Bill's, was doing Google Maps in Sydney. And Lars was at West Tech Fest last year, for those of you who went along, for the keynote speakers. Bill and I think Bill was on stage. No, the guy from Blackbird was on stage. Rick Baker, he was on stage. Rick was also an early investor in Canva. He interviewed Lars Rasmussen. So Lars was Google Maps. Lars loved the idea of Canva. Lars actually, I think, introduced them to Adam, their co-founder, who was about to join. It was ex-Apple, and was about to join another startup, and in the end joined Canva instead. So, and then they all moved to Sydney because that's where Lars was, and Sydney Angels and a few other people put some money into Canva, and off they went. And the rest is history.
I guess you pitched to Lars last year.
Good job. How'd it go?
Didn't really any money, but it was good.
You give good feedback?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So now I think about that cup of tea. Actually, it was Japanese tea. I remember it wasn't coffee. It's a Japanese tea house in San Francisco. I think about that very often because I'd sold my company year before and I was in a position to invest, but she didn't invite me. Oh my goodness. True story, true photo. All right. Best source of funds?
Sales.
Customer revenue, always, right? And in fact, because you're a scalable startup, repeatable, scalable customer revenue is the best source of funds. That's the holy grail. That's what you're searching, right? Agree?
Yeah.
Okay. So, unit economics is all about being ruthlessly aware of costs. And as an accounting AI SaaS, you better be. Because it'd be embarrassing if you're not.
Yeah.
And your average cost must obviously be below price. If not now, sometime soon. If you don't get that unit economics right, sounds pretty obvious, you are going to run out of money and you're going to have to keep raising money. And eventually that flywheel will stop and you'll be out of it. If you can scale your business just from repeatable, scalable customer revenue, Can it be done? Anyone know a company that's done that? Haven't even raised money, but they've scaled to a big, like $100 million without any investors. Anyone know anyone who's done that? Anyone done that from Perth? Anyone done that ever?
Yeah, Steam.
Yeah.
Who?
Steam.
Steam?
Yeah, like Gabe Newell.
Game.
No one knows.
Game library. Speed.
Gabe Newell. Yeah, he worth hundreds of billions. No one actually knows.
You heard of Olivia Humphrey from Canopy with a
Yeah.
K? So she started in Scarborough in 2006. She'd worked in film studios in the UK, married, young baby, spare room. She started by being like the Netflix for universities. So she would, Netflix before it was streaming, but sending out DVDs.
Yeah.
You'd have a DVD and you'd send it back and then you'd have a new one, right? And there was a Perth film called Quick Flicks, which did pretty much the same thing. And went on NSX listing and then fell over once Netflix came in and just blew Quick Flicks out of the water. So she was basically the Netflix CDs for universities. So universities need movies, documentaries, sometimes a source material for various courses. So she said she'll provide that, right, for universities. And she started in her spare room in 2006 in Scarborough, Canopy with a K, right? Did never raise any money. Never raised any money ever. I remember meeting her about 2013. I think she'd been like a finalist in Innovator of the Year or something like that. That's where I met her. By the way, Fusion Books was too, didn't win. They were third. But that was pre-Canva, business model. They were smart, right? Allegedly, that's where they met Bill Ty, but I don't know if that's true or not. Anyway, Olivia goes to San Francisco, not for money, but for market. There are 43 universities in Australia. There's 3,500 in the US. That's her market. So she went there for market reasons, with a baby, with a brother, with a husband, literally. Off to San Francisco. Didn't raise any money. Except for a small angel investment by Matt McFarlane. You remember Matt? One of the mentors here. And that was more because she wanted advice. She didn't know the word startup. She just thought she would do a small business. Anyway, she went there in 2013. I remember going over in another tech conference in San Francisco in 2015 and meeting her. She was about 2 or 3 years in. It was tough. The US was hard. There were other people trying to do it. There were some dirty tricks being played by some of the competitors. Long story short, 7 years later, she's the dominant #1 platform. The owner of the Sun Phoenix, is it Phoenix Suns? Phoenix Suns,
Yeah.
NBA, who lives in California, major billionaire, actually invested. She did growth capital at that stage, but by then she was very big. Tens of millions of dollars of revenue, all done scalably from minimal no investment. He became an investor, and then I think 2000 and just before COVID, about 2018, 19, they had an exit for over 100 million US. And she came back here. I remember her speaking at West Tech Fest about her journey. She's now moved to Brisbane, but can be done. So can be done, repeatable, scalable, right? And if you think about that business model, that's a pretty good business model. Once you get to a certain number of universities, which is why she needed to go to the US, her unit costs are pretty small. And then of course the whole thing moved to streaming, right? And then it really becomes scalable. You're not even sending out DVDs anymore in the mail, right? It's streaming. They're subscribing, right? And the university subscribes. And very cleverly, her business model, which I'll talk about in a minute, link value to revenue. Her business model was not, you might think, how many university students do you have? 4,500. Okay, you're on this tier. She didn't do it like that. Only if it was being used. So they paid by the number of users in the university. So for students, it was free, but for usage, that's hours of usage and students, the university got paid. So only if the students were using it, therefore was it valuable, was she charging the university. If they didn't use it, the university had to pay, right? So she linked the value of the product to the cost, value pricing. If you forget everything I say today, value pricing, right? Don't just be lazy and go, oh, it's our average cost, add a 15% markup, that's our price. That's not value pricing. Link the price to the value. And as your value goes up, your price goes up. Guess what happens to your profits? Value pricing. If you provide lots of value and price to value, your customers will love you because you're providing so much value. They'll pay. You'll be amazed how much they'll pay. They'll pay way more than you think they would ever pay if you provide value. What that also cleverly did, if you think about it, all her staff are thinking, how do we get students to watch the videos? How do we watch them to stream? How do we get them to stream? How do we get them to watch more? Make it really good. Make the user experience really good. The user interface really good. Advertise really well. Connect with the students. Give them content they value. Give the stuff that's useful, right? For them. Not just in their courses, but in their personal life. You know, gender identity documentaries, whatever it would be. Something that's useful for them. So that's what she concentrated on. So she is aligning. If you think, imagine what she's doing there. She's now aligning all her staff in the same direction as value for her customers, which is linked to her price. Everything's going in the right direction. Everyone's rowing in the same boat. Clever. Okay. The scale trap. Pets.com, a classic .com failure, right? Raised lots of money and went down the toilet. This is, I remember this during the sort of early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, when I was doing a .com. And for a time, we were like, AI startup. We were like, woo, right? Like blockchain was in 2017, woo, right? .com, everything was .com. So you can go on to pets.com in America and you can get dog food delivered, right? Fantastic. You don't have to go down to your Walmart and lug it back in the car. So problem? Well, they raised 82 million US in a very high profile IPO, and they spent $11.8 million on one Super Bowl ad. Woohoo! They sold heavy bags of food. Are you getting worried? Heavy bags of food. What's the cost of delivery? They sold it below cost. Oh dear. And they gave away free shipping. Sales volume spiked vertically, so their losses blew out. Very expensive ad. Lots of awareness. People go, oh yeah, great. I just had my dog food delivered. Hey, it's cheaper than even going to the supermarket. And it's free shipping. Oh, sign me up. So the more they sold, the more they went down the toilet. 5 months later, they were shut down and they burned through and collected $300 million. So let that be a lesson to you about unit economics. So what is your pricing right now? This is when you turn to your sheet. Those of you online, I hope you have the sheet. What is your pricing right now? Your objective is to align your pricing with the exact value a customer receives. Current baseline. Now that you might not be there yet. You may not be value pricing yet, which is the whole point of this. What is your primary pricing metric right now? Do you sell like unit per seat? Do you pay a monthly, an annual, upfront, per physical item, right? How do you price right now?
Right. Well, that's nice.
It's about management of assets per year.
Drew was just saying online and comment what you were first. Sounds like actually take.
Yeah, but asset.
Yeah.
Could be a wall. Could be a wall, could be a drawing. It's per asset. Pylon is the easiest one for the entry, but like
But the setup, like upfront wall,
Upfront costs.
I can't, yeah.
yeah, you're getting like you need holidays. I talked to Andrew, he's gonna get you diving.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was just saying that we're going to have a look at that call.
Once you've written that down, the next question, the scaling vulnerability check. In other words, can you scale? If your customer doubles their business using your tool, if your customer doubles their business using your tool, does your revenue double? Or does what you charge them stay the same? If your revenue doubles, you're doing value pricing. If your revenue barely changes, you're not.
I guess it's different with, because.
No, it
So
does.
savvy-wise,
Expense.
you were
Yeah, exactly.
smugly
Per asset per year.
nodding at me there,
Yeah,
Maggie. So
no, that's where the model became.
if they use more of your tools,
Yes.
do they pay more for it?
From 15th August.
So you're moving to value pricing.
Yeah, we are moving. There's a new update coming. So it will be basically, right now we have annual subscription, which rolls out monthly credits. So 100 credits, right, for the solo tier.
Yeah.
So if they go over 100 credits, it's pay per use, or basically you need to pay for the credits that you want to use in that month.
Okay.
Extra credits. So it's like annual plus usage-based billing.
How much did they burn?
Sorry.
How much did they burn on average?
Right now, we don't have like good estimate because we only added usage-based tracking and stuff a month or 6 weeks ago. So we are still working on analytics and stuff.
Curious to see that.
Yeah. But there are good numbers coming up.
But with Ocean Hex,
Hmm.
and so what's your pricing metric? You've got a port, tell me how they pay for it.
Master agreement
Yeah.
to do berth per berth or area per area.
Yeah.
So we match their schedule, and it is management of pylon per or assets per year, and
And
that include the
the
hardware.
more, so you're paying per unit,
Yeah.
per pylon.
Exactly. Yeah.
But is that value?
Yeah, because like
You're assuming value as you have more pylons, they're getting more value.
yes, because the management is like if they double a new berth or something, or they double the contract,
Yes.
then we manage more pylons. So therefore, like
But what value are they getting from all these pylons having your stuff on them?
Just reduce downtime ultimately.
Yeah. And I guess.
so
all
they
the ESG.
minimize the risk.
Let's say they've got
Yeah.
all the berths in Frio Port are Ocean Hexed.
Yeah.
Just what you want.
$66 million a year.
Fantastic.
Lovely.
They're getting 100 million value, so.
Yeah.
Following year, they get 200 million value. They're getting 400 million value. Less and less downtime. 500 million, $1 billion value. Are you getting any more money? You're not, are you?
Well, yeah, because
You're just getting the same amount per year.
yeah,
So that's not value pricing. That's
But
unit
then-
pricing.
yeah, but that's different. Like, hang on,
Ah.
because now,
What the value you're giving them, the value they're earning from your product. If that goes up, you get more money. If not, you're not value pricing.
yeah, I do. Oh, if their value, but their value is an avoidance, but also a risk management, right? So it's like they're not making.
I'm sure they value it.
Hmm.
I'm sure they want it. I hope I'm going to buy it. But as they can continue to consume it 5, 10, 15 years down the line and get more value from it, are you getting more money from? Are you also getting a share of that value? I don't think you are. That's okay. I just want you to be aware of it.
I guess it all depends if they scale, like if that value translates to them scaling the port. But I guess if they don't make a bigger port, we'll only get the same price every year.
And how often?
When we
ports sell,
do,
really?
the only
Yeah,
moment we
that's the
stop
real.
actually, yeah, so we do, but probably not through Fremantle.
Yeah.
Because in that market, the value is gonna be like having another one saying like, I need that too.
Yeah.
And therefore we increase our revenue and our management.
But I didn't value price Aussie Home either. I made all the mistakes, right? So I'm not having a go at it here.
Hmm.
We
No, but-
charge real estate agents a monthly fee, whether they sold properties or not on our platform.
Hmm.
If I could have taken a piece of that commission,
Yeah.
I'd have made way more money. Because if they sold a property off my site, and I could prove, how would I prove it was because they saw someone on my site? They might have driven by, they might have gone to home open. How do I connect the fact that some buyer saw property on my site and then went and bought it because they saw it on my site? How do I prove that with the real
Yes.
estate? And then how do I take a commission from that sale? I'm not taking a commission, I'm just charging a monthly flat fee. Now it's scalable because every new office I have on, it doesn't cost me any extra. So that's still a good business model, but it's not value pricing.
Yeah, it is actually like the second part is, no, so
Okay.
they avoid the risk, but it's a future revenue too. That's where we get a cut.
You do?
Yeah.
From the
So
value
like,
that they get.
so like the emerging market and the lower actually as of today. But the impact assessment and impact offset. So we are, what do you call that? Like we are ahead of the time, but we're giving them stuff that they're gonna be able to retroactively claim them when the market is mature, and we take a cut of that.
But how
So
would
that
you,
aspect is the other one though.
So there's all different ways you can price. Let's move on to 3 alternative metrics, A, B, and C. I want you to brainstorm. Okay, you've got your current price, but let's just think crazy. Come up with 3 different pricing methods you could use. And I'll give you some examples. For example, if you're a SaaS company, instead of $50 per user per year or whatever it is, charge 10 cents per support ticket resolved. Right? Because what you're doing there is, as they're using you and they're getting value, you'll get money. Right? Or if you're a physical B2B selling stuff, instead of a flat project fee, charge a base fee plus a 5% of money saved. By using your platform, you're saving money, they're saving money. Well, I'd like 5% of the money saved. The more money they save, the more money you make. The more value you create for them, the more money you make. So come up with 3 alternative pricings. You might not use them. I just want to get you to think outside the box of where you are now. 3 alternative pricing metrics you could, including using guys online. Put it in the comments.
This is genius, Charlie. Like, yeah.
Mind blown.
that's hard, isn't it, with the,
Old England teacher.
with,
Learn a few things.
Well, we can. So the first, hang on. So alternative to the current one.
yes,
Just brainstorm. Just be crazy. How else could you price it? Just to get, I mean, these might be mad. You might never do them, but just
Charge by volume of biomass.
Yeah.
so yeah,
Like biodiversity. Of
Yeah, biodiversity, biomass, however you want to
that could actually work.
upgrade
when you
it.
think
So
about it.
as the biomass grows.
It's a mix. It's a slight shift from
So many
what
customers
like we're doing with the
very basic
future
tasks.
revenue, but
Yeah.
like yeah. So
Not able to get through to
biodiversity.
the books on
Output.
the other side.
if you can't prove the value.
Yeah.
Just with that, I guess you could do the value thing.
Yeah, I mean, eventually you'll hit a plateau.
Yeah,
But,
but usually, I guess.
No, but then like when you say biodiversity output, you more like than nature output, because then you include resilience, because a stable system is resilient, so
Yeah.
therefore it's going to produce.
And you include the removal of tiles too. So you
Yeah.
remove a tile, put it as a seed
Exactly.
on the seabed, add a new one.
That could potentially still
Yes.
price different.
So what
Yeah.
we can
But
do
it's
is
tough
like
because-
the
but it's-
Pontius model
back in.
into the
Yeah.
nature output, because the Pontius model is like resilient things still gonna increase in value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second one I was thinking was like
Aggie, can you chat with your team online?
the
can,
avoidance
yeah.
of
They are
like,
Online? Can you chat?
but
with
that's
them? So you can interact with them. Good.
it's a long-term one, but it's bonuses on avoidance, like like event sites, days without incident. Well, we play on that,
Yeah. Well, that's like the example here is of
but we get a bonus.
charge a base fee plus 5% money saved. So they can say, okay, well, you had X amount of down days before Ocean Hex, and then you've now had this many down days.
Good idea.
Make a percentage
Yeah.
of that.
So
The
the
average
bonus,
of the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's your average of the last 3 years. Now with Ocean Hex, this is
Yeah.
what you're getting.
yeah,
Saving you this much, we take
You want
5%.
that.
whatever.
Yeah.
yeah, because it's gonna get more accurate and more accurate, and like in the very conservative model, we saving like them $9,000 per pile, which
Just
is
take
I feel like
5%
too
of that.
much. Yeah, and we charging too. So I feel like it's too much. I want to go like way deeper.
And then you've almost, we also have the subscription model for the,
Yes, so that's gonna be in storage.
so it's almost a bit of both, like a SaaS model on it.
Yeah, so that's the feature on the like, but it's kind of already in. It's the feature on the portal. It's like you want just data and reporting, one thing, but like you want that and the visualization, you want to integrate your own data on the maintenance and all
It's like a
this.
tier
Yeah,
system.
I can join this week.
yeah, subscription.
You want
like
Ocean X Platinum, you get all of it. You want Ocean X
Premium.
Basic with ads.
But, you know, presumably is what, an installation fee and then a per,
Yeah, per system, ongoing,
whatever you've got out in the field.
Yeah.
Per month or
Yeah.
per year or
per system per month.
per system per month, yeah.
But the value is
You're assuming value with the more products you have, the more value.
it's only compliance.
Like a subscription.
Yeah,
It's not a value metric because it's the continuity.
Yeah.
It's not gonna kill us.
The outcomes are.
Unless you
increased productivity, increased cost.
charge.
But then
per-
it links back to the bad of it.
How do you get into that?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think the high. There's any
We
way
did one,
instead of being
with,
that high.
There's no bug. So
couple of factories down south, I think it was, where they had a machine that was malfunction. And they could just put a power monitor on it, and they could see it malfunctioning.
Because we
And
don't.
they
have
fixed
the-
the-
I couldn't see it.
Fixed the machine, spent the money on it, then it was deep.
I mean, we do, but it's not B2B.
Well, we're selling a
Without much
service.
Yeah,
What's everybody?
yeah.
I wonder it would also be like.
Kind of.
It worked for them, yeah.
Use.
No,
You know, to replace the machine, and obviously they got value out of it.
monitoring and.
Had a price on that, I think.
So we don't.
You haven't got back end systems,
Like
if there's zero or accounting.
We will see, because if Riftcraft.
Be able to calculate
is
those
also on
savings.
the list,
Yeah.
I'm gonna lose
What I've done with,
Riftcraft.
especially with
It's
mining
like
customers,
the opposite of
they'll
what we're trying to
pitch
do.
their thing,
And
they'll try and get
supported by.
the buy from the other side with all of the different metrics and smooth them all out. So they'll last 3 years with a baseline it and then go from there.
Sorry?
It's just,
Came to sauna this morning.
Oh, yeah.
It's not to destroy.
I've never done
At
it
the
myself. Seen customers do it, it's always.
Riftcraft.
Yeah,
Yeah, but if they are showing there, then that has no value.
Oh, Tim asked you about it.
yeah, like.
All right, we're moving on. So you've got a few different alternatives, get me thinking, a different way to price.
Mm.
Maybe the pricing you got at the moment is perfect, it's valuable, it's value pricing, it's scalable. Good luck, hope so.
Mhm.
Or maybe there's some other things. All right, last thing. Evaluate your best alternative metric against these 3 criteria. Is it predictable? In other words, can the customer estimate their bill? Customers don't like nasty surprises. They like to know what the cost will be.
They want
Right.
a good one. They
Sure.
want like, it's gonna be 5,000. Actually,
And if they don't understand value, they'll want 0 or no cost.
Mm.
But if you create value, you'll be amazed what they'll pay. But at the beginning, that's hard because you haven't yet created value for them. Right? Scalable. Does it cost you nothing extra when they use more? So is that pricing scalable? Remember, we're trying to build scalable companies here. And friction, is it easy for the salesperson to explain? Or is it really hard? So you've got that friction in the sales process to get them over the line. That is hard. Or when you explain it, they go, oh, I'm waiting for something like this long. Thank God, it solves a huge problem for us. Yeah, where do I sign? I'll never say that, but they might be thinking it. Right? Especially men with alpha egos. They won't admit it.
All right.
So score it out of 5. Your best alternative. What would you
Which
give it
one-
out of 5?
which one I'm going
Predictability?
with?
Can the customer
Biodiversity?
predict?
for me, it's like.
The biodiversity
Is
one
it
doesn't
easy to
really
calculate or is it
provide them
complicated?
with any
Complicated's not good.
extra, like,
I mean,
benefit.
Is it scalable?
they can show,
And is there
I
friction?
guess. That's the only thing.
Lots of friction.
yeah,
Yeah.
but then.
No, the bonus on save
And
money.
scalable for.
Bonus on save money.
Which one?
The bonus on
Yeah.
save money. The second
Yeah,
one.
the second one, because the
Yeah.
first one,
Oh,
the
yeah.
more biodiversity they have, they might just be like, oh, well, I don't want it
It's
to go
great.
because I don't want to
Yeah.
pay more.
So you
Yeah.
want high predictability,
Yeah.
high scalability, and low friction.
And
Yeah.
the things like
That's
this,
the secret
the
sauce.
first one and the second
Scalability.
one and the third one, there will
Right.
be as features in that anyway.
Yeah, so I
This
think
one,
the second
yeah.
one is probably the best.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But then
Predictability.
it's like, predictability is easy because you can build, like you can actually make the.
Well, we have,
Customers don't like nasty surprises.
we
Yeah.
have
They-
claims of
Oh,
it's
it's
safe,
lost.
then they just go,
Uh,
this,
They
Tell
know
me this when I
how
see
much
it.
they lose per day.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah,
hate that.
And it's a percentage based on, like, they can already calculate
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
saying, well, hey,
exactly.
we're going to save you this much. This is how much you lost before.
There's zero
Already
there,
a known number. Yeah.
like we're gonna pay that much, so they can calculate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scalability.
Yeah.
That's fairly,
All the files, so
Yeah.
scalability. It costs you nothing
Yeah.
if I want to use more.
well,
Over
it will,
time, how would you change
Yeah,
the,
that's true.
the model over time?
Yes.
Unless you just do it by like
Yeah.
fixed price, like this was.
But
Yeah,
you
no.
fixed percentage.
We need to
Yeah, I
review
think
this
so.
because we started a bit late. So,
The friction is harder.
yeah,
Yeah.
But there's a system to that all boats used.
I was recently quoted in a West Australian article and I wanted to read it. And I'm not a subscriber to the West Australian. So
This is
I went on to the
another-
West Australian. You can't even read more than the headline. Can't even read the first paragraph or the photo or anything. I remember when I was at business units, put up a paywall. We allowed people to read the first paragraph and tease them in, right? And the photo and then whatever. Anyway, you can't. So I saw what's the minimum? I give $4 a week. All right, $4 a week, I'll pay. Right? So I paid my $4 and I realized it's like a minimum contract of like 8 weeks. And I go, so the next week, another $4, another $4 for 8 weeks. So it's like,
For one article.
and by the way, the only way you can cancel is you have to email the subscription team. You can't cancel online.
Brutal.
So you go, they are just dicking you now.
yeah.
It's gone down the
Dicking you
RGA
around,
and got it.
no, I don't think much of the West Australian anyway, but I thought even less of it that.
But the Optus does the same. It's terrible.
It's like, come on, don't try and trick your customers with pricing.
Yeah, no.
That creates a bad, feeling, and that's your reputation, that's your brand, and you're just trying to stuff people around. All right, moving on. So, CAC and LTV. Apologies to those who already know this, but this is like so important. Your cost of acquisition of customers, or your client acquisition costs, and the long-term value. I've seen this done really badly most of the time, so let's go through it. Your investors will want to know this, and you need to know this, right? But investors will want to think, as they're listening to your pitch, they're thinking of two things. What's your moat? What's your defensibility? What's your customer acquisition cost and lifetime value? Right? How are you going to scale it? Now, the customer acquisition costs is your total sales and marketing costs. Normally people underestimate this. All your sales team, your marketing team, all your Facebook ads, everything had happened. Your total cost of winning a customer, right, divided by the number of customers acquired over a period of time. That's your CAC, right? So it includes your cost of acquiring customers, includes your time, your salespeople's time, your marketing budget, your CRM, everything that you're paying that's going to try and increase your costs, right? That is your client acquisition cost, your CAC. Meanwhile, your lifetime value, right? That's the total amount of money you're going to make from that customer over the period of time they're going to be with you. So if they subscribe, what's the average subscription to SavvyWise? Now, hopefully it's, 57 years, but you're going to lose a few, win a few. So what's the average? Might be 5 years, might be 3 years, I don't know, whatever it is. So what's the lifetime value? Now, at the beginning, you don't really know what the lifetime value is. Fortunately, with AussieHome.com, most of our customers stayed us right from the beginning to the end. The only reason they left, 1 or 2 would leave a year, is because literally the business went out of business. But quite a few of them, all of them at the beginning, stayed with us right to the end when we had an exit. So the net revenue or profit from a single customer for the entire relationship you have with them. What's the average lifetime value? So to work it out, by the way, SaaS, there's an easier, look at the bottom if you're a SaaS business, that's much easier. But if you're not a SaaS business, it's the average purchase price, which is the total revenue over the number of purchases. So the average purchase price multiplied by the purchase frequency. Purchase frequency is the total purchases of unique customers times the lifespan of that customer in years, right? So that'll be a dollar number. If you're a SaaS business, it's actually much easier. It's the average revenue per user. That's your ARPU. So your average revenue per user divided by your churn rate. churn rate is the percentage of people who leave you in a year. For example, if a customer pays SavvyWise $100 a month and your churn rate is 5%, then your lifetime value is 100 divided by 0.05, 2 grand. So your average lifetime value for your customers on SavvyWise would be 2 grand. Doesn't cost you 2 grand to bring them on. It might do to start with, because you've got that whole sales and marketing arm, right? But once you get going, hopefully, the marginal costs of getting those extra customers on falls, and you get to the stage where it's really scaling, and really your CAC is minimal. The best advertising is, of course, word of mouth. Your customers love you so much that the accounting firms at their accounting club say to the other accounting firm, "You're not using SavvyWise? Have you got rocks in your head? Saving us so much money. It's only costing this much. You crazy?" The other guy goes, "What on earth is SavvyWise?" Look, SavvyWise.com.au for goodness sake. Go and sign up tomorrow. That's what you want. You want word of mouth. The product's so amazing, other people come on board. And I remember it got to the stage where we had about 85% market share of real estate agents in Perth. Any new real estate that came on board pretty much joined us. And we hadn't even heard of them. It just whoop, emerged and they contacted us. They want to be on Aussie Home. That took a few years. But when you get to that stage, that's what you want. Okay. So we're going to calculate our CAC and we're going to calculate our LTV.
So if you don't do marketing and everything, like for example, the two that we have right now, it took 5 years of work, but it's outside of OceanX. It's
Yes.
5 years of trust and
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
Minimizing like their
Yes.
cost for work. Like how do you calculate that? Because we don't do more.
This is really hard for you because you've got big lumpy sales that take years.
Yeah.
But they're going to bring you $66 million per
Yeah.
port.
So
Get it.
I'm wondering like how do I calculate that in a way, like should I calculate, for example, what would have been my salary for those 5 years as a building the trust and everything? Yeah.
Well, in a way, that's a sunk cost, isn't it?
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah.
That's already done, got you here. I suppose now, if you're on the cusp of selling and actually getting customers on board, what is the cost of that acquisition now going to be from now? What is going to be the revenue? When's that revenue going to land? What's going to be the lifetime value of that revenue? Hard because it's still trial, isn't it? It's paid trial.
Yeah.
It's not the true revenue you will be charging, hopefully, in the future. But you've got to have some estimation of it.
Yeah.
You must. You can't just blindly go.
No,
these are
no.
big numbers.
Yeah, that's why
For
like
you,
I
it's
want.
actually even more important.
Yeah.
And something like a SavvyWise who can suddenly go flip, or a Cranium who can suddenly tweak it. New financial year, bring in some new cost, an additional per user cost like you're doing, which is very sensible, right?
Yeah.
They can tweak it as they go along, right? So quickly before we calculate, obviously revenue minus cost is contribution. I'm talking about direct revenue. If unit economics don't work at small scale, scaling up makes it worse. Like if you forget everything else I tell you, don't be a pets.com. They were selling below cost and they were doing free shipping. The more they advertised, the more they sold, the more they went bankrupt. Lifetime value must be above your cost to acquire the customer and serve those customers. You are making a positive contribution to your company if you're recovering the COGS, that's the cost of goods sold. You must also have enough to cover the fixed costs. So you've got fixed costs like Jurgen's enormous salary, right? You've got his fixed cost. You've got your office cost for your co-working space, or if they're charging you at the Ocean Marine Institute, they might not be. You've got these fixed costs, right? Your CRM cost, your subscription to Xero, your account, your accounting software, anything else. You've got these fixed costs, which are going to be there anyway. If you make no sales, or if you make 1 billion sales, they're going to be there. Those are your fixed costs, right? You've got your variable cost, which is the cost of making the product and getting it to the customer. Obviously, your revenue must be above from that customer, the variable cost, or the cost of goods sold. But that is just a contribution. That contribution contributes towards paying fixed costs. Don't want to be in business? It's fun, isn't it?
It was interesting.
Once you make enough
2 weeks ago, I loved it.
contribution, and you can scale output, covering your fixed costs, at the end of the rainbow, it's profit. It's lovely.
Sounds nice.
Those are.
Yeah, that's what we had to talk about.
Now, every pitch deck I've ever seen in every frigging pitch night has got that J curve, right? Here's our revenue scaling. Woohoo! Once we hit break even, we'll all be billionaires. This is our costs, and here's our profit. Woo! Right? Every pitch deck has that, and it's BS.
Yeah.
But don't do it. Interestingly, I was taught a very important lesson by my entrepreneurship professor on my MBA at UWA, the wonderful Professor Andre Morkel, may he rest in peace, passed away a few years ago. He did invest in our company, but what he did is he took my spreadsheet, which looked very much like that. He halved our revenue and tripled our costs. He said, "Send me the spreadsheet." So I did. He literally halved the revenue and tripled our costs, which became this. If you halve the revenue and triple the cost, you get that. And that is much more like reality. In fact, bless his cotton socks, he was an inspirational entrepreneurship. Professor, brilliant man. It was pretty much what happened. These were our losses for the first few years. This was our costs. This was our scaling revenues, but we were still making losses for the first few years. And yet he still invested, bless him, right back there. He said, "It's going to be tough, but I'm going to back you. It's not going to be bad. Probably going to be bad." And it was much closer to that than that. But he still invested. Because they know it's hard. You're trying to change consumer behavior. Hard. Trying to get real estate agents to advertise online was hard. They've been putting ads in the paper for the previous 100 years and doing very well. Why do they want the internet? They want the internet. Wasn't solving a problem for them, but they were suspicious of it. So, reality, more like the right. That's what you're entering. You're in it right now, right? So, let's take 5 and let's calculate, turn over the page, our cost of our client acquisition costs and our long-term value. This might take a bit of time. A couple of slides back, I told you how to calculate that. Yeah. Do they have these slides, by the way?
I sent them on.
You did? Okay.
On Slack, yeah.
What is the total cost of acquiring a new customer? And what is their
But the
long?
lifetime value is not.
Let's talk about the relationship between
The
the two.
CAC we can't calculate yet for
Do
Gascoigne
you want to, or
and
do you want to keep going?
PGI.
Sort of start late. We've been going 55 minutes. Do you want a comfort break or?
Oh, I'm all right. Yeah, I'm good.
And I'm okay.
All right. Cycle, type.
So the lifetime value,
Well, you calculate
that's
that.
how much it costs us per revenue unit, which is a pylon, right? Per year, the longest they stay, that's how much we get, and we don't have yet the retail price. But like, I think the retail is gonna be like 1,500 per year, something.
What's the COGS again? So many acronyms.
Cost of all the goods and services.
Okay.
Yes.
So how much does it cost us? And it's highly conservative, so all the techs depreciate fast, 10 minutes replace, blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
A lot of salaries. So for us, past 2 years, on massive profit.
We have.
2 years on the installation, because the installation costs the most.
Yeah.
So most of our cost
So we
is
will have-
installation, but it's also the monitoring and to depreciate installation. Which. So yeah, installation per pylon is like over the lifetime. Like so if you want,
30 for us to put the height on the pile.
yeah. So if you want, like, there's two things that we need to be aware of. There's a cycle.
Mm.
How many times do we have to redo it?
Mm.
Like that's why monitoring is actually expensive. but the installation is huge. It's like 700,000 close to. But from that, only after 5 years, there's only the tile to replace. And that's like only, yeah, it's only 10-15%. So, but per cycle, which is per year, monitoring is like 90,000.
Yeah, it's quite high, isn't it?
And that's a
But that's
model
very
for
conservative.
100 pylons. So, and very conservative. So we have an upfront cost, but that's why, like, if they stay for 2 years,
What would that be the client acquisition cost? Because you're not,
Oh, no.
that's.
no, I don't know if the life and cost enough or long to get a project, to get
Yeah.
grants.
Because that's the 5 years you haven't been talking to them.
Yeah.
That's the thing, like, White, like, it took 5 years and getting paid shit to build the trust, but at the same time,
I guess we could potentially probably do it with.
we got Fremantle, the next day we had a meeting with Westport,
Yeah.
but without doing any, so that's the thing, like, our CAC is really ensuring that the work is done properly.
Yeah.
Just taking that all.
Oh,
We're not gonna marketize. But it's gonna be about the size and the time and then make the project scope and all this, so. It's not a huge cost, it's a long one.
Yeah. So it's time more than actual money.
Yeah, but it's money, because time is money, like,
Yeah.
if I need to put you on having one customer. It's like your space, or months, it's your salary, it's like all
So it's
of all
more
the
the fixed costs than the.
how much of cloth do you need for it? Like, it's all of that, right? And so. That's our burn rate for something that might not happen.
So +8 when, you think?
Look, I'm happy with it. I don't know.
That's good.
Yes, great. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, what is this? What is that going? Well,
Well, you can probably take this one.
so you haven't heard anything from Marcus on that, John?
No, I'm not involved. I'm not an investor, so I'm not involved in that part of the decision. I'm sort of a mentory person. So
Pretty cruel. They send us all a message yesterday. It's like, hey, like, decision's made. What time can I call you tomorrow? I was like, call us.
what's the decision?
Yeah, call us
Oh,
today.
really?
Yeah, call us
Call me
today.
now.
Like, damn it, like,
Right now.
No. So yeah,
So they're gonna call tomorrow?
not today.
But Aggie, you got your customer acquisition cost, the client acquisition cost?
Yep.
How much? Does it cost?
7,000,
$7,000 to acquire a new customer. What's their lifetime value?
15 grams,
13,
50.
15. Okay. So it's about 2 times. Ideally, we want it to be above 3. It's almost not worth it. If you're only getting twice back your cost of acquiring them and then having to acquire more. So ideally above 3. Interestingly, but not above 5. Any idea why? Wouldn't it be good to have lifetime value over CAC of 10, 100?
You're not earning as much as you could, potential.
You're earning a lot
Oh, yeah,
per
but,
customer.
yeah, but you could earn more, couldn't you? Like,
How?
No, I'm saying that.
You're on track. You're on the right, you're on the track. That's going to keep going. You are right,
No, I love
but you
the
don't know why. Why is it not good to have LTV 5
Oh,
times
because
or
you-
20 times
You
CAC?
could get more by like that means your product is too cheap or something like this. So you're
Not spending enough.
Yeah,
yeah, you're not
You're
spending.
not spending enough on client acquisition.
Yeah.
You could have more customers,
That's right, that's right.
right? So ideally, this is theory, it probably depends on different industries.
Mm.
But it's just very much a rule of thumb, it's not a rule, golden rule. LTV should be 3 times your CAC, but not more than 5. Again, careful, it depends on the customer, that depends on the industry. But you want to be earning at least 3 times from your customers it costs you to acquire them. All right. Now, scaling. How do we know if we're scaling well or not? Right. We're scaling well if the fixed costs are being spread out over more and more units. So the head office costs, the executive costs, the basic salaries, the cost of the office, the subscriptions, everything that is just a fixed cost. In other words, the cost line is flat. No matter how many you sell or don't sell, you've still got to pay these. Those are your fixed costs. If your fixed costs are spread over more and more units of sale, then obviously your average cost is falling. That's good. Average cost per sale is falling. If you're capital light, so you're not like a restaurant or legal office, you have to buy a whole new office, set up a whole new restaurant. That's a massive step up in costs. If you're capital light, what I love about B2B SaaS businesses is they're very capital light. This is just lines of code, and if you've got positive cash flow, that's a good sign. Ultimately, if your customers are funding your growth, they're a cash cow, or one of your products is a cash cow. It's funding the R&D, it's funding all the fixed costs, it's funding the growth, maybe even funding dividends to shareholders. And each new customer adds to the margin. That's the profit margin that you make. Your profit margin is growing, it's adding to the contribution of your company. Those are good signs. Scaling is hurting you. If you're scaling and you're finding this, you're actually driving yourself into bankruptcy. If the negative margin per unit, so every sale adds to a loss, just like pets.com, or if you've got very heavy fixed assets or capital built well ahead of sales, so huge capital investment, like a mine site. I mean, mine sites are a stupid business. Think about it. Sorry, mining companies, but it is. Millions and millions up front, and in 10 years' time, the mine actually becomes productive, and 90% of mines make no money. So it's a stupid business. But the ones that absolutely hit gold, a bit like a startup, pay for the others that don't. Hit iron ore or whatever. And if your CAC rises more than your LTV, right? If your customer acquisition costs rise more than your lifetime value of them, then scaling is actually hurting you. Got it? So, don't confuse growth with scaling. They're two different things. So growth is on the left, traditional business. You're making investments, which is negative cash flow here every year to grow the business, and your costs grow and your revenues grow. Good business, profit is growing. See, the difference between revenue and costs is growing. Good business, but that's not scalable. This is scalable. Big investment up front, yeah. So you've got the valley of death. But once you've built it, you can tweak it a bit. Costs are pretty flat. Revenues are scaling. But look at this. Same revenues. That's growth. This is scaling. This is where you want to be.
But not too much investment up front, like you said before.
If you can fund it,
Yeah.
great. But some rocket ships need to be built before they take off. And so fair enough, you need to raise some money to build the rocket ship. That's okay. Hopefully a little bit of fuel just to launch it, and then whee, enjoy that. That's good, isn't it? Enjoy that. That's okay too. Nothing wrong with that. That's a mum and pop small business, profitable, fine. That's a scalable business, startup. That's what you're looking for. Now, here's some examples. Slack and HubSpot. Slack have an issue, actually, because Slack don't value charge. Slack charges per seat, and the client can use them for everything, right? So this is when you go to the enterprise version of Slack. For example, if you're being charged $10 a head and you've got 1,000 staff, you're paying $10,000 a month, fixed, whether you use it or not, whether you get value or not. Some companies that big, it's saving them millions of dollars. Slack's not making millions of dollars. Slack makes the same, $10,000 a month fixed. Whereas HubSpot, basic CRM, some of you may be using it, they charge by number of contacts once you get up to the enterprise version. So that's value pricing, isn't it? And that will scale as their revenue scales and as the value they charge, as the value they create for their customer scales, more and more customers are using it, putting more and more contacts into the HubSpot, sending out e-newsletters, blah, 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 hooking up their email, their calendar, everything. As the revenue scales, value scales, HubSpot makes more money as they create more value for their customers. That's a better business model than that. Better for scaling anyway. So, Stripe. Stripe charges per transaction volume, right? Stripe's a payment system. A lot of e-commerce platforms use Stripe. So as the value of the customer rises, so their revenue rises. They don't care how often you log in. They care whether it gets used. More it gets used, the more their revenue. So, value metrics. What's the value you create for customers? Could you charge customers by units of this? That's the next bit. Think about. Might have already discussed this earlier in the hour. Yep.
What's the value that we create for our customers, Natalie?
Good question, Chloe. What's the answer?
And you charge
right back at you.
Yeah.
Really? Successful
Who's your customer?
businesses.
Let's work out who. No, they're not. They're not. They're the product or the user. They're not the customer. They're not paying you. Who's paying you?
True. That's true.
Customer is the person paying you.
That's paying us.
Oh, it's a bad business model.
Yeah, that's.
That's news to me. Bye.
See ya.
Money. Yeah.
Well, you said- so that's with the,
So I did not do this at Aussie Home.
The
If I'd have taken a clip on the every
isn't it?
property that sold
The cost.
So it was
of
then-
went across our
Yeah.
site,
Yeah.
fantastic. Every property that was managed, successfully managed from the site, I'd have earned way more money. But how do I prove that?
Hmm.
There are other elements to do with that. So in the end, I was an advertising and marketing platform. So I charge per month. Now, we kind of already mentioned this earlier and you're already right. So I'm going to move it on because we're a bit behind. Now we come into timing. It's not enough to make sure that your revenues are greater than your costs, or your lifetime value is 3 to 5 times your CAC and all that sort of stuff. The timing of the payments is crucial because a company is bankrupt if it cannot pay its outstanding bills when they fall due. When they fall due. If you can't pay your outstanding bills and future liabilities when they fall due, you are out of business and you're not allowed to trade. So, lifetime value is a guess about the future. It's a guess about how much your customer will pay you in the future, but it's not cash. It's not in the bank. Cash flow, king. Cash flow rules, okay? When's the cash coming in? And if you've ever run a business before, you know this one. Churn rate, cash flow forecast. Cash is everything. And tweaking some of your terms can dramatically change your cash flow. I remember we were about 6 or 7 years in. My accountant said to me, "Why are you charging monthly in arrears? You're charging such a little amount for the base. Charge quarterly up front. They won't mind. You're not putting the price up." But you know what that did? We went to, there were small amounts. And we said to our clients, we're going quarterly up front. If you want to continue on monthly arrears, you can. 90% of them went to quarterly up front. So, oh, it's much easier, less admin, right?
Yeah.
Less admin for us, less admin for them. And do you know what happened? Rather than monthly in arrears, which some people took 2 or 3 months to pay, now I'm doing quarterly up front, bigger amount. They're paying somewhere during the quarter. Now I'm getting 3 months of sales earlier in cash. Same profit, same costs. I'm putting my prices up. I've just tweaked how I'm getting the money. That dramatically improved our cash flow. Wow. Thank you, Mr. Accountant. Having good accountants. So if your CAC is 12,000, So it's costing you $12,000 to land a customer and they pay you $1,000 a month. Obviously, they're going to pay you back in a year. It takes 12 months to pay back. Others may be paying quickly. One huge company could pay the whole lot. Yes, this is certainly true. When we got Acton on board, which was 12 offices in one go, they went to 24 offices, I think, by the time they were their largest, the Acton group. At one stage, they were 32% of our revenues. I remember calculating it. One customer, if we lost them, that's 32% of revenues, right? So that was a risk, but it was a huge benefit. We did their website, their magazine, their CRM, everything. Very difficult for them to leave us. Averages lie. So look at your customer segments, right? Do you know about Wales?
Generally.
Yes. Optimus? You did? About ocean. Your highest value customers are your whales, your top tier. You might earn 80% of the revenue from them. They're small in number, but they're on the biggest plan. Then you've got your mid-tier, the engine. And then you've got your bread and butter, the tail, the lowest value. Right? They're on the lowest plan. So we had real estate agents who only had 1 or 2 listings. We allowed them to, we were very nice. Mainly because realestate.com and Rewa and others did not do this. We allowed them to be charged per listing they put on our portal. We hardly made any money from them, but we wanted them to be on. They couldn't afford to be on the other portals. We wanted them on us. We didn't make any money from them. That was fine.
Yeah, so that's
we made our money from the whales.
Can you make like the same list of customers? You can actually have different type of segmentation. Because Busselton Jelly, we're gonna pay for it, but it's a massive iconic place. Like the return's gonna be huge over time.
And your investors will want to know why you're not on Busselton Jelly.
Yeah, exactly.
You're in WA. Why not? You have to be on Busselton Jelly. So, do the lowest value. This is the worry though. Careful. It's nice to have these bread and butter tail because they might grow in customers. They might become mid-tier. And your mid-tiers might become whales in time as they grow. Hopefully they do. They grow with you, right? But here's the worry. So the lowest value take up 80% of your support time. The nitty-bitty, white ante, annoying little customers. Normally they are.
Yeah.
They're the most annoying. The big guys, they're so big, they've got bigger fish to fry. Literally, they're whales. Are you spending the same CAC for the small as big? Is it costing you the same amount of time to win these guys as it is to win these guys? Often, yes, that's the case. It's the same sales process, takes the same amount of time. No, good. You just churn these on easy. Do you? These are easy to get on.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Bread and butter are easy to get on.
Easy, let's get them on. Great,
Yeah.
that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Good. The 80-20 rule. 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your customers. These guys.
Yeah.
Right? So whales, engine. So what you want to do on the chart I've given you on the table, who are your top tier whales? Who are your mid-enterprise clients? Who's your bread and butter?
That's a good question.
Sean.
Just based on like, because I think we all have similar to you guys, and the contracts we were winning were like big multi-million-dollar contracts. And like the payment terms, when you're talking about contracts that are so huge. Because one of the things that we did when we won our first like big multi-million-dollar contract is we negotiated to get the majority of it paid up front because we'd be like, churn.
Yeah.
And like they didn't know, but we were like, oh, we really need money.
Sure.
So we asked for a lot of it up front.
35%.
60.
Wow.
Okay.
They're happy to do that?
Yeah.
Jesus.
But then, you know, the challenge then was like, okay, great, that kind of then went into the sunk cost of like getting customer. But then we had to survive on like the smaller little bit.
Dribbles came
I
later.
don't know if that was the right decision, but Yeah, I don't know if you have any kind of advice on that sort of, particularly when you're getting these like first big monster, like, it just seems like so much money.
Well, I certainly prefer to have the money in my bank account.
Yeah.
I remember when we started, we were so useless. We did websites and we only charged once the website went up. That was so stupid.
Mm.
Because the customer would sometimes change their mind, take 6 months over it, and it was like, we were going crazy. We only have a £5 grand website that would make a difference to us. So I remember when a sales manager came in, like, no, you're charging 35% on signature. Because we've got costs immediately.
Yeah.
And then once we've got the first prototype, that's another 35%, then maybe 30% when it goes up. Well, that's better. That revolutionized cash flow. Charging too much up front when not much left
Yeah.
might be an issue as well.
I
Because then you've
know.
got not much left.
Yes.
So you've got to balance that. So I liked third up front, a third at some milestone that's they're not gonna tick us around for too long, and then a third when it's done.
So we did 60% upfront and
Well,
40% was
Doesn't leave a lot left.
charged monthly.
Mm.
After that.
So you might not be able to do this now, but I would maybe as a take-home exercise, right? That table. Who are your tier 1 whales, your enterprise clients, sometimes known as? What are you estimatedly going to get them for a month? How long does it get to get them on? What's the sort of sales time? Does it take 6 months? And what sort of onboarding or support time does that take? Then your mid-tier, right? What's your estimated monthly revenue? How long does it take to get them on, etc.? And then your tail, small, hopefully self-service customers that come on. Better to have them on than not. They pay you something. The cost of acquisition is pretty small. The lifetime value is small, maybe, but they might grow to become mid-market customers. Got it? I'm going to keep moving on because we are way behind time. So the implications of all this are double down on your whales. Go whale hunting. The highest spending clients are your whales. They've got the highest lifetime value. Make them your VIPs. Give them loyalty rewards. Give them lots of extra benefits. Treat them like the gorgeous customers they are. Right? Give them offers. And think to yourself, how can we get more whales? Examine their habits, their buying habits, how they use you, where they go, where you find them, where you find more whales. 80% of your revenue could come in. They're not as difficult for service. You treat them like kings and queens. They will love you for a long time. They might be big businesses. They're marquee businesses. They're the ones that, like, when you have scrolling at the bottom of your website, your customers, they're the logos that are coming across the bottom that impress other people. Ooh, they've got them on. Ooh, Boston Jetty. Free my report too. With their permission. They're your whales. Direct your marketing towards finding more. Self-service ones, shouldn't need to market to them. They'll come on board, make it easy. Low friction, low cost, low revenue, bring them on, easy. Shouldn't have to service them. You should be thinking about whales. Automate the bottom 80%. Spend your time on the top 20%, which is where you'll get 80% of your revenue. The bottom 80% will give you 20% of revenue. 80-20 rule. Possibly. Right? Clear? Sticky customers. This is what you want. You want customers to stay here for a long time and grow with you. Right? It is 7 times cheaper to keep a customer than acquire a new one. That's the saying. I think that's wrong. If you're a SaaS business, it could be 200 times cheaper to keep someone on board, paying monthly, comes off their credit card, there's no friction, they just use it, they're with you for years, money comes in, right? Best promotion, as I mentioned before, word of mouth. Net Promoter Score, you saw from Michael Malone, how he built his whole company around customer service, the importance of blowing your customers' socks off. Everyone's remunerated by NPS under in IONET. NPS, pretty strict, it's pretty brutal. Only if they give you 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 is it seen as positive. 7 or 8 seen as You throw 6 or less, it's in negative. But it does measure customer loyalty through customer happiness. Essentially, if you have happy, loyal customers, you will have happy shareholders. Yes.
Just a question, if your customers are like big companies, like what like Ocean Hex and probably Ericson's company will have, are we talking like, how do we manage their multiple stakeholder relationships to ensure that stickiness? Because companies have employees which will then transition away and
Yeah.
have a really good relationship with one and then they leave.
Yep.
How would you?
Like mining companies, the person's moved on. Yeah, that's a continual process. For your big customers,
Yeah.
of being in there, giving them offers, making sure you're really close with them, making sure you understand what's going on. There may be 2 or 3 of those really big ones, so you're very, very close to them. So with me, Acton was 32% of my revenues. When I changed my office from 45 Sterling Highway, we found an office further down. It was literally next door to Acton's headquarters. If Acton's CEO wanted me, I would walk in there. When they had, absolutely. When they had a conference in Bali, guess who was the guest speaker at their conference? Me. When they had it in Singapore, guess who was the guest speaker? Me. They paid for me to go. That was how close we were. Right? They were a whale by a long way. Existing customers are also easier to upsell because they already have the relationship. You can bring in new products and upsell them. They will spend 67% more than new customers. Your existing customers already have a relationship. So as you bring out new products, they'll go, "Ooh, we'll have that as well. Would you like this? Ooh, we'll have that." So we had magazines, websites, feeds to 12 other sites. We could do photos, floor plans, later apps, social media training, all a suite of products for all those ladies to help them list and sell. And this is when you really scale. This is when the numbers get beautiful. Because not only do existing customers spend 60% more, if you improve your customer retention by 5%, that's reduce your churn rate by 5%, increase your retention by 5%, you increase your profitability by between 25 and 95%. Because you haven't got those acquisition costs. You're reducing the acquisition costs, you're not having to acquire as many new customers, and you're earning more money from existing customers. They're right there. They're already on you. So, Net Promoter Score mentioned, strict test of customer loyalty. I only discovered this sort of late in the game, but by the time I got to REWA, we instilled this in the customer service. So we calculated Net Promoter Scores every day. Every time someone rang up, a registration rang up REWA, talked to the customer, quick survey went out, scored between 0 and 10. What degree would you recommend your service to a friend or colleague? Rate it 0 to 10. Very quick. And we'd actually take a random person every week or month, and they'd get a $100 token. But we were trying to incentivize them to send back the NPS scores. 9 or 10 are known as promoters. 7 or 8 is known as neutral. 6 or less is detractors. You literally take the percentage of people to give you 9 or 10. You subtract the percentage of people that give you 6 or less, and that's your Net Promoter Score. So if everyone gives you 6 or less, you have a Net Promoter Score of minus 100. That's the worst. If everyone gives you 9 or 10, you've got a Net Promoter Score of plus 100. Right? So Net Promoter Scores can vary from minus 100 to plus 100. Every bank in Australia has a Net Promoter Score that's negative. Westpac has a Net Promoter Score of minus 10. Its vision is trying to get to 0. We get to 0. The iPhone has a Net Promoter Score, well, it used to, maybe not anymore, but used to, plus 76. That means 76% more people gave it 9 or 10 than gave it 6 or less. So, can you calculate Net Promoter Score from your customers? Probably hard for you to do, Ocean X, but I'd say savvy-wise, yes.
Well, it's
From your one customer.
well, like he went.
Sure.
We didn't even have to ask. We got Westport like right after asking for a meeting. So
Fantastic.
100.
Beautiful.
That's a good question, Max. It's like relationships. Do you have a relationship with one person in there, or do you have multiple relationships with different people? Like, how quickly do you respond to their emails? How comfortable would you feel kind of saying who else we need to speak to? What's that referral? You know, like it's like you can kind of like gauge that relationship in different ways that you don't have in.
And at all levels of the business too, it's like, are your juniors like connected in with their juniors? Like, it's like, not just, doesn't have to just be at that like top level that you're connecting in, all aspects.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting over time.
When we got to about 5 or 6 years old, a friend of mine who I used to teach with in Singapore was running the WA Youth Orchestra, and we were a sponsor. We helped them develop their website for nothing. We became a sponsor. What that meant is I got free tickets to all the WA concerts at the Perth Concert Hall. I would take my top clients out to listen to amazing music in the Perth Concert Hall. Like we were treated like royalty, drinks beforehand, right? This is how you treat your whales, your top customers, right? And also my top suppliers. Few questions, a few bits of experience for me. Business news. So I was CEO of Business News 2015, 2014, 2017, after I left Rewa. So Business News is an interesting little local business media. There's nothing else like it in the country. There was a similar one in Adelaide that fell over a few years ago. There was a similar one in the Gold Coast that fell over 10 years ago. But there's only a based business publisher left in the country, and that's Business News. Whereas you go to the US, every major city has a daily newspaper, but a separate periodical business, weekly, monthly, or fortnightly. So Business News was actually established in the 1990s. It was a free newspaper on the terrace, and in 2000 it went to a subscription. So it went from free to paid. And then in 2013, when I got there, we put up a paywall and we instituted NPS. So I put up a big NPS wall and we calculated the NPS. And then every time the NPS was updated, I'd have a staff meeting and talk about the results, some of the feedback and the comments, trying to get them to really think about customer. And our customer was our reader and our subscriber, right? It wasn't an advertising model. Advertising model is you've got readers, but your customer is really your advertisers. So now you're building content for your advertisers, not your readers, which is, I think, the wrong way to go. Build customers, good content for your customers and your readers, as long as you create good content for them, which they can use to get business deals and understand what's going on in the Perth business scene, they will continue to subscribe. So we put up a digital paywall. It was expensive. It was $700 for one subscription. Top law firms paid $25,000 for a site license. When we sold 4 or 5 of these, you went, holy moly, we're onto something. They were our whales. They took about the same time to sell as a single subscription. But what we made it was the single subscription became renewal online, easy. Just do it. And we would sell 10 or 12 of those a day. Ping, 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 they're coming in. And the subs team were working on those bigger contracts, seeking out more law firms, accounting firms, mining firms, other firms, big corporates to buy the $25,000 site license. Those were our whales. What we found was once we got a law firm on or a big mining company or a corporate on, they always renewed because their customers, their users in their offices, 300, 400, 500 staff were using it. They would never stop. By 2017, which is when I left Business News, subscriptions had topped all other revenues. When I got there, advertising was 4 times subscriptions. When I left, subscriptions was bigger than advertising, which means you could actually turn off advertising. By 2022, they carried this on. The business is 3 times it was 2017. They now have a new 3-floor offices in the city. Don't know if you know, down next to Space Cute, 45 Story Church. Next door is a big tower, and the top has a Business News logo. It even has a ticker tape of the Business News going across on a big, cool digital screen, like Business News towers. They've done really well. Their subscriptions are now 6-7 million a year. Just subscriptions. They could turn off advertising, just survive on subscription. Done really well. Aussie Home, my little company. We were established, as you know, 99. Our customers are real estate. We were breaking even at about 75 agencies. We had 30% revenue from one customer, Acton, and we gave them magazine, websites, feeds, portal fees. It was all ongoing subscriptions. Magazine came out every month, online subscriptions, web hosting, fees. Churn was minimal, maybe 1 to 3 a year, and we had over 150 customers. Growth took off year 5, we had super more profits and dividends, and we were acquired in year 10. So that was my startup, which I tell you what, in the first few years was a real struggle, but we got there. So target benchmarks. We want the payback for every customer to be less than 12 months. We want the long-term value to be at least 3 times the acquiring of those customers. But it's the customer acquisition payback speed that's important. How fast do you acquire customers? And that includes your market spend on your sales team salaries and commissions. What's your monthly gross profit from that customer, which is your monthly revenue minus direct costs? And you want the CAC payback is the 2 divided. So you want the total marketing spend divided into the monthly revenue minus direct costs, and you want less than 12 months. Okay, so that's this thing. I can detect you're slowing down. I can hear the weirdness of the room. We're almost done. Keep going. All right. Calculate your CAC payback speed for your top tier. And if you could, for each of your tiers, you may not be able to do that now. That might be a takeaway exercise. Right?
Yeah.
So what is your estimated total cost of one customer in your primary tier, your Wales tier? Include all the marketing spend and the sales team salary. What's the cost you to acquire that big whale? What is the monthly gross profit you will earn from that customer? So what is the payback?
Have you done those calcs?
How long will it take to pay?
No, because we don't have a cap,
Yeah.
And you want it to be less than a year.
but it will be. And the COGS,
I'm going
we
to
have
keep moving.
the value that we give them. And then
Remember I said that the long lifetime value over your customer acquisition cost should be at least 3? Great, let's say it is 3. It's meaningless if you're not getting the money back. If your payback is 24 months, you're going to run out of cash. The scaling requires payback within 12 months. That's pretty much a scaling rule. Do your smallest, loudest customers cost you more than your loyal, reliable, larger ones? That's a red flag. The nitty-bitty, gritty, little, annoying, small ones. But your cool, large, big ones take less management. That's a red flag. You want to automate the handling of those small, nitty-bitty ones, right? The long tail. And you want to spend your time building relationships with the whales and seeking more whales. So, bit of a repeat, but just to go over cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold is your direct cost of producing a product, like your raw materials, direct labor, shipping, web hosting. If COGS scale linearly with revenue, you cannot scale. Remember that diagram I showed you earlier? The costs were growing with the revenue, but that's not a scaling company. Be wary of hidden cost of goods sold. Things like sales reps, they love to help people with sales. Helping with the onboarding of customers, making it manual and slow. That's not the salesperson's job. You might have a separate person doing that. The salesperson is to hunt and kill and eat what they kill and go out there and hunt for you. But you might have a relationship manager, fine. You might not. Hopefully the relationship management can be done online automatically. Careful of payment processing and API fees, right? These are the hidden cogs some of us don't realize. OPEX is operating expenses, AA, fixed costs or indirect costs, rent, salaries for non-production staff, marketing, subscriptions, they're always there, right? Obviously need covering. So, again, this might be a takeaway exercise. What are your cost of goods sold? What's your OPEX? What's your gross profit margin? It's price minus COGS. What's your break-even position, which is the quantity required, total revenue to total costs? And what is your supernormal profit position, which is where you want to get to? But profit, you make a profit, all growth is priced in already, and you've got money left over. And dividends. That signal, supernormal, There's a signal of a scaling company, scalable, profitable company. When you get there, might take you 2 or 3 years. You might never get there. That's where you want to get to. It took us 5 years. After 5 years, we had really good finish to the year. I mean, year 5, so much so that Nick and I looked at the bank account and went, oh, that's pretty good. We'd already budgeted for the new year, so we pay ourselves a dividend. We're cheeky. So we asked the shareholders, which we had about a dozen, permission to pay them a dividend. We thought that was the right thing to do. Telling them that Nick and I own 62% of the company, so most of the dividends coming to us, but you'll get a dividend as well. We'll all get the same per share dividend, right? So we're asking permission to pay our shareholders a dividend. And some of our bigger shareholders said, absolutely, as long as you have priced in your growth and you've budgeted for growth. It's been 5 years, we haven't had anything back on our shares. So we did. I'll do that as a takeaway. Exercise again, speed things up a bit. Okay, pricing strategy. To achieve a healthy gross profit margin, your product must be priced comfortably above COGS. If the COGS is too high, you cannot be profitable no matter how much you reduce your OPEX. If you can't get that variable cost down, hopefully with scale it comes down, the average cost comes down, you cannot get profitable enough to cover your fixed costs, you're never going to make profitability. When people come to value your business, they will look at both metrics. They will look at your cost of goods sold. They'll ask you, what's your CAC and LTV? What's the cost of making every widget? What do you sell it for? They'll ask you that if they haven't seen it in the slide deck. A high COGS means your product is too expensive to make. A high OPEX means your corporate structure is bloated. Got it? Investors will want to know what your COGS is, your gross profit margin, your OPEX. So, margin forensic audit. The objective is to separate COGS from OPEX to protect your gross margins. If you sell 1 more unit tomorrow, what expenses immediately tick upward? Put a check mark next to the items that scale linearly with your sales volume. You sold 1 unit tomorrow, what expenses would immediately tick upwards? Would third-party API usage fees, OpenAI, AWS cloud infrastructure, would that go up? Would your payment processing go up? Would your customer success onboarding staff time spent doing the manual setup go up? Would physical packaging, shipping, or returns handling go up? Would data scraping, verification, or license fees go up? Anything else? If you sell 1 more unit tomorrow, what expenses would rise immediately?
Not the processing fee like that.
Yeah.
No, it was this one.
Yeah, but it's like one customer is a lot of work.
Yeah. It is. There's not really a lot of these things.
Gross margin health check. What is your total revenue per unit? What is your total direct cost to deliver that, which is your COGS? So what is your price? And what is not the fixed cost, the direct cost? Raw materials, direct labor, shipping. What is the direct cost of delivering that product? The difference is your gross profit margin as a percentage. Hopefully that is nice and healthy. 35, 70%, right? Not 3%. That's not enough to cover your fixed costs, and that's not scalable. If you're a tech or SaaS business, you'd hope to have a gross profit margin of 75 to 85%. If you're a physical goods or marketplace, you know, shipping businesses, then you'd want to target a 40 or 50% gross profit margin. Any questions online? Alex or didn't? He's with investors, right? So just talking about back in LTV.
Yeah. He'll get the recording. I know it's not, I don't really get more value.
All right. We're going to finish off a little bit on timing. Okay. As I said, if you're a SaaS, you target a 75 to 85% gross profit margin. If you're a physical goods marketplace, 40 to 50%. Not all contracts are good. Growth can suck cash. Cash is king or queen. So what your objective here is to kill a bad commercial term before they create a cash crisis. You could close $1 million deal on a net 70-day terms. That means they're going to pay you in 90 days. Sorry, not 70 days, 90 days, 3 months. Typically, that's what you get. And then the mining company takes 120 days, 50 days. They love to screw the small companies. If you have to pay for everything up front, this will kill you. Why do more home builders go bust in a boom market? I wonder why. More home builders go bust in a boom market, property boom, a building boom.
I guess because they're putting all the money in first, and then it takes a while before they actually get any.
They've got fixed contracts.
Mm.
When they sell to a residential customer, they've got a fixed. We will build this house for you for $225,000. Sign here. Pay a little bit now. But what's happened to their costs? Oh, there's a timber shortage in the US. Oh, there's supply problems in China. They don't even start the building for another year. By then, the costs are gone up. Labor's gone up. All everyone's going to the mine site. They have to put wages up to get more home builders in. Oh, they can't get tradies. They can't get electricians. Their price goes up. Oh, the cost per brick goes up. Now it's not 50 cents per brick laid. It's $1.50 per brick laid. Oh, shit. All my costs have gone up, but I want a fixed price. Can't put my price up. What's happening to my costs? Oh dear. Shortages. Wait 9 months for something, 6 months for something, more delays, more delays. Meanwhile, costs going out, they're out of business. In a boom. Why? Not the profitability of the contract, cash terms when the money lands. And the costs going up in the meantime. Unit economics, disastrous. So, again, you can rewrite if you want. We won't do it now, but there's a contract there, you can rewrite it. That's a really bad, don't sign that contract, you'll go bust. Right?
Unlimited.
Don't sign contract.
Yeah.
Right? Sounds great. $100,000 contract, woohoo, validation, woohoo. It'll send you bankrupt, that contract. Bottom of that page. 3 mandatory contract shields. Upfront annual bidding, at least 25 to 30% on signing. Automatic, please do this. Automatic inflation escalators. Put your prices up by 3 to 5% a year, built in. They're not going to leave you. Put it up. You can't keep your prices the same for 8 years. Inflation's going up, costs are going up. We're a cost of living crisis, for goodness sake. You've got to keep putting your prices up. The only ones that will leave you are the annoying white ant smaller ones. The whales won't leave you. And have service level agreement boundaries. How many hours of free service do they get? Contract signed. That could white ant you as well. SLA agreements.
I'll just add, we successfully for a trial contract. It was a 1-year trial, and we negotiated upfront that the trial would automatically convert into a 5-year contract if we hit certain milestones. We got them to sign that letter of intent before the trial, and then we were able to use that letter of intent with investors as well to show the conversion.
So what are your payment term floors? We will not accept terms longer than how many days? 30 days? You're not going to accept 90 days.
No, it's 30, of course.
Because that's the terms. But they might pay you 120, 150. So we had 14 days. I think.
So they were supposed to pay, if we charged them at the end of the month, they were supposed to pay in the middle of that month. Some would take months. And if it got escalated to me, I ended up having to turn off their website, literally turn it off There was always the same half a dozen real estate scoundrels. Most of them paid pretty well. I'd have to turn their website off, and then the principal would ring me. But only they'd been giving me the runaround for months. But then they'd ring me up. And someone told me something really good, and it always worked. You can use this, right? If someone hasn't paid you and they're giving you the runaround, and they're giving you the same excuse for the 10th time, you interrupt them and go, no, sorry. It's not your money I'm looking for. It's my money. And when you say that, because they've already agreed to the contract, they've already signed it, they've already had the service. It's not your money. It's my money I'm looking for. Oh, that always burst the bubble, made them feel shamed. And I got the money in pretty quickly, and I put their website back up.
Put the website down. Didn't have to resort to that very often. You know, some customers are scammers. Cash flow rule. Every multi-month contract must be billed when? Annually upfront, quarterly upfront. What's your bottom line going to be? And our protection clause. Every long-term contract must rise by an annual price of what to guard against cost inflation? 3%, 5%. Just build it into the contract. It's totally reasonable. Otherwise, you are cutting your costs effectively because your costs are going up. You're cutting your price, sorry. Effectively. Don't do that. So, survive your early customer acquisition. That's what you're in now. Each new client must add marginal positive. That lays the foundation for a scalable business. Watch those costs like a hawk. Be very well aware of your CAC, LTV, GBM, and value. Think about value pricing and go and get those whales. Are you built for scale? Are there any roadblocks? I'll leave you with that question. Here's a struggling startup. A struggling startup on the left. Oh, we've got our prices are less than 10% of your customers, the competitors' pricing. Really? That's not value. And that might not even give you profit. We're going to accept any payment terms. We're going to track burn rate only. And then we're going to give customers support as a fixed expense. No. Scale ready. Prices are based on customer value tier. We mandate annual upfront or strict 30 days. We track CAC payment period by segment, by whale, mid-tier, and bottom tier. And our customer support is a variable component of COGS. That's a scalable startup. That's a struggling startup. Startups are easy. Startups are hard. Hats off to you for being a startup founder and giving it a crack. I'll finish with the Stockdale paradox. No matter how hard things get. So Ben Stockdale was a prisoner of war in the Vietnam War. He was in the Hanoi Hilton for 3 or 4 years. He later became a vice presidential candidate. He ran on Ross Perot's ticket in the 1992 US presidential election. In the wonderful book, if you read one business book in your life, you haven't read enough, but if you read one, you read Good to Great by Jim Collins.
That's naughty over right now.
Good for you. Well done. Jim Collins talks about the Stockdale paradox because Jim was asked, what kept you going? I'm not he's asked, but what kept you going? Torture, year in, year out, no hope of getting back. What kept you going? And what happened to the people who didn't make it? He said, even in the darkest moments, you have an unwielding faith that you will prevail. Yet at the same time, you notify and you understand the brutal reality of today. And to me, this, I think, is a very good, see, it's a paradox. Like, I understand I'm in prison. I'm being tortured. I get that. But I have an unwielding faith that I will prevail. That's the right attitude to have. And it's probably a good attitude in startups. I know how hard it is. Most likely it'll fail. But bring the bad news quickly. You need the bad news around costs, around customers, around cash flow. You need to deal with it. Deal with the present brutal realities of today, and yet have this incredible passion and belief that you will prevail in the end. Because he was asked, who didn't make it? Who didn't make it for the eternal optimists? who didn't make it, who got broken, were the ones who said, we'll be out by Christmas. Christmas came and went. We'll be out by Easter. Easter came and went. We'll be out by summer. Summer came and went. They're the ones that got broken because they did not face up to the brutal reality of what they deal with today. You've got to deal with the brutal reality of your current situation and yet have that amazing undying faith that you'll get there. Then you'll get there. Or not. Sun will still come up. Thank you.
Thank you.